Good morning, everyone, depending on where you are joining us from. Welcome to this meeting where we will be discussing the progress that we have been making together with you in terms of the partnerships with AGRA to bring about an inclusive agriculture transformation on the continent of Africa. Today, we have a very solid panel that will be together with the team at AGRA, will be speaking to the progress of our partnerships. This meeting will be recorded for the purpose of us being able to share with you the recording for you to view it at a later date. We will also be running a poll. Please keep checking in the chat section, and we would strongly encourage that you fill in the poll, because your responses to those questions will be able to help us, refine and sharpen our engagement, with you. I would also like to quickly run through our panel today, and of course, we will introduce them as they come up to speak. With us today, we have the team at AGRA being led by our Vice President responsible for strategic partnerships, Vanessa Adams. She will be supported by Jennifer Barron, who is our Head of Partnerships and also the Interim Managing Director for the Africa Green Revolution Forum. We do have with us one of our partners, Fatih Hermes, who is responsible for agriculture services at Nestle Central and West Africa. We have Simon Winter, who is Executive Director at the Syngenta Foundation. We have with us also Winnie, who works for Microsoft Africa. She's responsible for business development. And then we have Mark H, from Bayer, who is responsible for partnerships at Bayer. So for your chart, you can also, scan the QR code, or as I said, you can go to the link. We would strongly encourage that, you could also, post your questions in the chat. in the Q&A section, so that once we are done with the presentation, we will pick on them. On your questions. So with that, I would like to hand over to Jennifer Barron to give us a quick overview on the progress that we have made. This is just a flavor. There's a lot of work that we have done together with you, our partners, but really just to give you a flavor on the progress we have made over the past 3 years. So welcome, Jennifer, over to you.
Thank you so much, Valentine, and good afternoon, everybody. I am going to give you a short presentation that really gives an impression of some of the fantastic work that we've done with many of you. My name is Jennifer Barron. I'm the Head of Partnerships here at AGRA, and also Acting Managing Director for the AGRA. So in my presentation, I will really take you through the models and approaches of AGRA, and also some case examples of what we've done. And of course, you can ask questions afterwards. So, AGRA, what has been our strategy over the past 5 years, and what is it that we actually define as agriculture transformation? So basically, we're looking at several levels. On a national level, transformation for us, of course, means higher income, faster income growth, more prosperity, and a secured access to affordable and nutritious food. But we also do understand that the agriculture ecosystem consists of multiple layers and different types of systems. And one of the things that is also very critical is that the integration and interaction needs to be altered fundamentally in several ways. And of course, on the farmers level. In Africa, we're really dealing with a lot of subsistence farmers and smallholder farmers, and we want to ensure basically that they have food security, income security, and also access to markets. So our theory of change actually to achieve this transformation is really built on actions undertaken on all of these multiple levels. So on a national level, we look at how can we improve the enabling environment. And it's really critical that we support and encourage governments to put in place the right policies, programs, the commitments, and also to strengthen their capabilities to deliver. We also think that on a systems level, the coordination of the ecosystem and fostering partnerships and alliances around transformations and specific bottlenecks is very critical. We also strongly believe in a private sector-driven agriculture system that is a key driver towards scale and sustainability. And lastly, and probably also most importantly, on a farmer's level, it's very critical that we improve the farmer's awareness, but also access to and adaptation of critical inputs, farmer practices, and resources required to improve transformation. So as an institution, in order to reach the impact and farmers at scale, we really operate across the ecosystem through systems, governments, and partners. And the way how we are structured institutionally also reflects that. Our system work really focuses on directly reaching farmers and basically improving the direct environment that they operate in terms of access to inputs and also access to markets. And we've been able to reach over 10 million farmers in the past 5 years in terms of what it is that we do. And it's really a coordinated downstream investment interfacing the farmers. In addition to that, our policy capability and regional trade work really focuses on supporting governments and other actors in the ecosystem to strengthen policy reforms and facilitate government-led investments and to foster regional trade. And as you can see, our work has also impacted millions of farmers in that respect. Now, our strategic partnership work that many of us have been working with you on is actually really looking at leverage. How can we mobilize investment linkages and partnership to facilitate private sector companies to impact the agriculture system? And we've also been able in the past 5 years to reach at least 2.3 million farmers with the work that we're doing. So what are some of the challenges that we're trying to address with this entire machinery that is AGRA and with the work that we're doing with our partners? And I really briefly take you through this because I think many of you are very familiar with all of this work. So we know that at this point in time, there is an investment gap around $30 billion per annum that is missing from private sector investment, public sector budgets, etc., to drive transformation in agriculture on the African continent. We do know that the sector, agribusiness sector, has the potential to become a $1 trillion industry over the coming decade. But in order to achieve that, we really need to invest. At this point in time, we're still missing at least $30 billion a year. How are we going to close that investment gap? In addition as well, we know that there are certain factors that are holding back on private sector investments, from a poor enabling environment, the risk perception involved. There's also lack of inclusivity models. Investments sometimes do happen, but do they impact and benefit the farmer, the rural communities that we would like to see impacted? And also, of course, there's a lot of information asymmetry. Where can we find bankable deals? Where is the project pipeline? Who to connect and to partner with? And what should be the next action steps? So in the end, from a partnership perspective, the way we're looking at it is that we have a whole ecosystem that is not actually properly functioning, with gaps in terms of capacity, connectivity, resources, and challenges throughout. Now, what is therefore AGRA's value proposition to its partners, looking at all these different gaps, the way how our institution is structured, and the investments that we've made over the past couple of years? So this is what we're saying that we're bringing to the table. Number one, we have a footprint across 11 countries of not just only government relationships, but also the investments that we've made in, as I mentioned beforehand, downstream system improvements in terms of the farmer interface. We have strong relationships with all those different governments who see us as a partner in delivering agriculture transformations. We have made quite a number of investments in countries itself, alongside what we call consortia, which are really agriculture hubs of different service providers, providing a variety of services to local governments and farmers alike to move transformation along. And we also have strong convening power. Last year alone at the AGRA, which AGRA is hosting, we've convened over 10,000 actors across the globe to discuss and basically commit action towards agriculture transformation. So our assets really enable us to attract a wide number of partners and work on a couple of different things, right? From last mile delivery, we try to coordinate value chains, unlock new opportunities for investments as well, and strengthen a lot of models into business models in terms of smallholder engagement and strengthening the resilience of value chains and the different actors as well. As AGRA, we have more and more started playing the role in terms of being a key convener or supporter of alliances that really are focusing on transformation and change. And we'll hear some of them speaking later today, like the Farm to Market Alliance, but also other type of opportunities. I just want to quickly give an illustration of some of the work that we have been doing alongside all the strengths and assets that as an institution we're bringing to the table and the ecosystem, but also how our partners have complemented that and also came on board with their own capacity, strong agendas, and also a strong reach. So just in terms of the government relationships, as you know, AGRA is in 11 countries. We have structured our interventions in those countries along agroecological zones. And a lot of our investments are focused on specific hubs and ecosystems within those countries. We coordinate and engage with quite a number of actors within those national ecosystems, with, of course, a strong lead from the government. And we also work with regional government bodies in specific regions as well. This is just an illustration of a number of the system investments that we're doing. As I mentioned, we invest downstream in the interface that the farmer has with input markets, but also output markets, but also further upstream in terms of making connectivities. And if you look at the investments that we're making, it's really very holistic and across the board. We invest in seed systems, fertilizer systems, extension, and I'll give an example of the VBA work that we do, but also access to finance, post-harvest market solutions, but also working with regional and national governments and on policy and state capability. Further down the stream, there are quite a number of interventions that we have, including the agribusiness deal room, but we're also trying to provide supply chain advisory. In the end, what it comes down to, and we look at the work that we've been doing with many of you, is how can we really buy down risk in different parts of the value chain. When it comes to more upstream, closer to the farmer, it's really about how can we drive aggregation as well as yield improvement. When it goes more upstream, when it comes to processing, etc., we're specifically looking at buying down risk also through aggregation, but as well as securing stable markets through the relationships that we're building with off-takers. Now, this is a quick example of the VBA model that we've been building, right? 30,000 agents across Africa who are really helping to bridge the last mile gap between input market as well as and farmers. And what we, for example, been doing is strengthening the number, scaling the number of mother and baby demonstration plots, but also supporting with last mile delivery and agro dealership towards the farmers. We have been working with quite a number of our partners to strengthen these models and also scale them sustainably. And I'm looking forward in coming years actually to work with a number of you to make sure that we can provide proper access to our farmers for input. And what have been the results? Sorry, this is just a quick animation. What have been the results of some of the work that we've seen? We've seen a strong adaptation of technology by farmers. For example, 28% increase in adopted seeds, 36% increase in adopted fertilizer across the board, and also in specific agriculture and regional hubs that we're working in, we've actually even exceeded some of these numbers. So what we can say is that it's working. One other thing as well is that in terms of for the farmers at least, our integrated approach has also led to different productivity increases if you look at the specific crops that have been planted. As you know, AGRA pretty much is predominantly focused on staple crops, but we're also looking at how can we partner with other actors to make sure that farmers have access to some of the more commercial and niche crops that will increase their income. So in terms of working with input companies, we've really looked at the different ways and levels. So number one was really provide input, provide more access to input and also more know-how and knowledge. So we've been working with quite a number of input companies to to strengthen product training, etc., leveraging the VBA model of all these 30,000 agents that we have invested in across the continent. So to really optimize the choice of farmers when it actually comes to access to new seed varieties and fertilizers. What we've also done is co-invested with quite a number of input companies, also to ensure that we could strengthen the supply of inputs, that we could introduce new models. For example, if you look at mechanization, different service models as well, to make sure that farmers will have access to affordable mechanization services and also products. We've also seen that a number of partners have actually adopted our models and have invested independently in the scaling of VBAs and strengthening there for the last mile delivery. So what has it all led to? And this picture depicts, again, the value chain, but now you can see all the different partners that we've been working with along the value chain in the different regions. And this is just a snapshot, an example. Don't panic if you don't see your logo. But you can see that we're trying to strengthen the ecosystem and the supply chain and strengthen the coordination of the supply chain all around the farmers. And I think going forward, this is a great opportunity and an existing platform that we can strengthen with other partners coming on board as well. So a few case studies in terms of what we've been doing with you. I won't spend too much time on it because we have some fantastic speakers who will also go into that, but I just wanted to highlight a few examples of the work that we've been doing. So in terms of the COVID-19 response, we have been working with some of our partners, including Bayer and AGRA, to ensure that farmers were not deprived of access to critical inputs in COVID times when a number of supply chains were disrupted because of lockdowns, etc. We've also been actively working on the youth entrepreneurship, and one of my colleagues from our partners from Nestle will talk a bit more about it, but also driving multi-stakeholder alliances such as the Farm to Market Alliance that I already mentioned before. One of the things that we've also focused on in terms of increasing investment opportunities and the flow of funding into the agriculture sector is the establishment of the Agribusiness Deal Room. And it's been a rapidly growing, scaling platform and quite successful in doing a couple of things. One, increasing the visibility of investment opportunities. From an SME perspective, we've been working with over 800 SMEs over the past 3 years to match them with investors, but we've also brought billions of dollars of potential public-private investments that are being designed on a national level to an investment deal room where different partners, investors, etc., could explore opportunities with governments alike. Our ability to convene all of these different actors around the pipeline has really generated additional efforts as well. Number one, designing the pipeline and creating the visibility is just only one thing, but aligning different partners and programs in terms of the follow-up and making sure that we also land some of these deals and transactions, provide impulse where we see things stagnating, but also discussing bottlenecks and how we can resolve them has actually been also a big win of the deal room. And we continue to grow this and strengthen the capacity of both SMEs and governments, basically to improve their growth path and also their access to funding. This is just a quick snapshot of the deal room and of the SMEs that we've been working with. As you can see, the SMEs have brought to the table over close to $550 million of potential investment opportunities. We've also been successful in closing some transactions and moving some further along. I think one of the interesting things is as well that a significant part of these companies that are coming to the deal room are owned or are led by women. So what are the benefits for you for partnering with a deal room? Of course, what I mentioned before, the advocacy and knowledge. Joining quite a number of partners to drive the ecosystem of investment mobilization forward. But also, we also have in the deal room actors who are connecting to cooperatives, etc., and other partners to strengthen local sourcing. And of course, also to put your own investment mobilization on the table. Mind you, the examples that I've just shared are just a few of the work that it is that we're doing in terms of the input companies working on the deal room and value for her. This is our gender-focused platform that works with close to 1,000 women SMEs now to provide them with access to markets. with access to investment opportunities, with capacity building efforts, etc., across a number of African countries. We have different partners who are also strengthening the capacity building of these women, because as we know it, investing in women in agriculture is investing in entire communities and the improvement of ecosystems. This is another quick snapshot of some of the partner work that we're doing, and it has to do with the work that we're doing on digital. So there are several things or interventions that we are focusing on. Some have to do with the introductions of new interventions and technologies on a farm level. So for example, we are working with Croppin to improve services through almost 10,000 VBAs in West Africa and also East Africa. Some of them have to do with questions around big data and artificial intelligence, but also how do you work with governments to create an enabling environment for the digitization of agriculture? That's some of the work that we, for example, have been doing with Microsoft. So we're really working with digital companies on both the technology level, as well as framing the right policy and enabling environment, as well as building the platforms to improve value chain coordination as well. Then my last slide, so snapshot of our partner portfolio. Who is it that we're partnering with? And by all means, if you don't see your logo reflected, do contact us, because we want to make sure that we don't leave any of our partners behind. But as you can see in this slide and also several others, our partnership portfolio really stretches the entire ecosystem. We work very closely with government and state actors, from the investment promotion agencies who participate in our investment mobilization efforts, towards also AU and NAPAC, etc. But we also have quite a number of technical partners that strengthen our delivery closer to the farmer. And in some of the downstream investments that we're making, we're building alliances and participating actively. But driving work, of course, with many of you as well in the private sector, working very closely with foundations and also financial institutions as well. A new frontier for us is basically the partnerships that we're building and strengthening with the investor landscape, from impact investors, a number of financial institutions who are also looking at green investment, but also some of the more hardcore private equity players as well. Now, my last two slides. When we as AGRA are identifying critical partners and looking at what is it that we are prioritizing, there are really 5 key things that we're looking at. Number one, this relationship or partnership that we're initiating, will it support us in increasing our farmers' reach? So we're looking really for scale. Number two, will it be transformative for the partner, meaning that it will increase their income? Number three, are we able to create synergies? We have our mandate and the impact that we would like to achieve in terms of bringing more technology to farmers so we can enhance food security, but also income security. Can this partnership actually support us in accelerating the delivery? The other thing that we're looking for is unlocking additional resources. We've seen the 30 billion gap. We want that our investments are matched by our partners to make sure that we unlock those opportunities. Lastly, and this is actually also quite important, we want to make sure that we invest in systems development. So is the interaction that we're taking with you as a partner leading to sustainability? Will there be a host? Will there be scale up? Will there be replication at the end of the game? Because as AGRA, we're not necessarily there in perpetuity. We want to make sure that we're catalytic together with our partners and that we set up systems that will actually be sustainable. This is my last slide, and it really has to do with the process that we're undertaking. It is a bit administrative, but it's important for you to understand that we really have a very intense assessment that we do together with our partners in terms of identifying the synergies and also formalizing our partnership all the way towards delivery, the monitoring, the evaluation, and eventually looking at what is it that we do with the outcomes of this partnership and to what extent can we make them sustainable, or was this a pilot, a trial that probably will not work and that we exit it. But this is important to showcase because we do believe that partnerships are the way to go. No single actor can actually achieve some of this impact on their own, but we do need to put in place some of the processes, some of the systems and the procedures to make sure that we optimize this process significantly. I would like to leave it at that. only saying that for more information, these are all the different colleagues that you can reach out to. Looking forward towards the future, what is it that we're currently doing at AGRA? We are reviewing our last 5-year strategy and the impact that we've created with many of you. We are defining our 2030 strategy, and over the next 12 months, we're looking forward to really engaging with you to not only just inform that strategy, but also to scale what we've been doing so far. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. That was well delivered. Our partners, I hope this has given you a flavor of the work that we have done together with you. And without you, we wouldn't have made all these strides that have been shared, by Jennifer. So given that was more of an internal, review of the work that we have done, it would be nice to hear from a few of our partners. And I want to start by calling upon Fatih Hermes, who is the head of agriculture services for Nestle in Central and West Africa, to also just give you a flavor from a partner's perspective of how we have worked together. So Fatih, over to you to walk us through the work that we have done together.
Thank you, Valentine, and thank you, Jennifer. I think a very good start of the meeting. Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Fatih Hermes. So I'm heading the agricultural services for Nestle in Central and West Africa region. So I am here to present you today which projects we do together with the AGRA, so Youth Entrepreneurship Program. Actually, this program is started 3 years back. So I hope my screen is visible for everyone.
Yes,
so
we can see it.
Now it's very good, thank you. And the investing in youth entrepreneurship is really essential to the future food system all over the world. Being a food company, as a Nestle world's leading food and beverage company, this is very, very important for us to ensure the future food and ensure the future farms. So as you may know, the age of average African farmers is about 60 years old, and agriculture employs 65 to 70% of the African labor force. And if you look at the countries, agriculture contributes average 30 to 40% of the GDPs, which is there is a 200 million young, which ages between 15 to 24. And every year, 10 million young Africans join the workforce. And if you look at the import bill of Africa, it is already more than $35 billion. And besides that, we see also the climate is changing. We are very visibly witnessing this change. And as you know, there is also food waste and post-harvest losses in Africa where we are operating here. Under these circumstances, as a Nestle, we like to create the opportunity for the youth and create them, our ambition as a Nestle to improve the 30 million livelihoods communities directly where we do our business activities. And also we have a vision to provide accessible and affordable nutrition for all. We have also commitment to improve farm economics among the farmers who supply agricultural raw material to us. To achieve those objectives, we have several initiatives which we kick off globally and also in Africa. As you know, Nestle has the global Nestle Needs Youth initiatives, and also we have the Youth Entrepreneurship Program, which we have created a great partnership with AGRA, thanks to Vanessa and her team. And when we shared our vision on that, it was really matching what AGRA wants to do in Africa to transforming the agriculture in Africa. So therefore, we created the Youth Entrepreneurship Program in Ghana and Nigeria to address the issues which I shared previously. So what is our scope in the Entrepreneurship Program? Our goal is, we are selecting the graduated entrepreneurs to continue to supply Nestle with the high quality raw materials while they are successfully leading their farm and continuously changing the business environment. Also, these people should be seen as natural leaders, and they supposed to be inspired their fellow farmers, and which others can copy with pride and develop their own farms to become suppliers of Nestle. So in this scope, we have the 3 objectives. First one is the future farms, where we are focusing on the skills and capability building. And the second pillar is the future farms, where we see those future farms is financially attractive and profitable and newly diversified their production system. Also, to enable to those objectives, we need to conducive environment where the supporting the frameworks, markets, partnering. So overall objective, actually, the question we ask ourselves in Nestlé, to see today in the urban area, when you see the young people are working in the different work, or maybe some classified work, they are earning around the $200. Then when we check the farmers in Africa, doesn't matter, is it the grain farmers, cocoa farmers, or coffee farmers, we came to know that we calculated average income for young people per month is just $35. So this is the issue, is which leads to the young people is not able to live and not willing to live in the village, and then they like to come to the urban area to make some money and then for the decent life. So therefore, we set our objective, what we have to do, what we should do, how we can support to those young people, where we can increase their income from $35 to at least $200. So entire project is the focus to that perspective, because this is also addressing the SDG number 1, which is the no poverty, and SDG 2 also to zero hunger. So to focusing on those objectives and how we like to achieve this objective. First of all, I think it's very, very important to select young farmers. So therefore, we create a kind of filter for us and for our partners when we work with AGRA. Also, we engage with our suppliers who is purchasing grains from the farmers in Ghana and Nigeria, and cassava as well, to supplying to Nestlé. So we are making the offtake agreement with them. So we selected, we have some criteria to select those farmers. I am not going to go into the details, but this criteria will help us a lot to achieve the objective, because we are going to give the different type of training where we selected the farmers who is the literate, who can read and write, do the basic calculations, and open-minded, and also committed to stay in the rural area, because we like to those selected young people should be committed to stay in the village. Of course, we cannot tie them up over there, but at least we like to see the commitment mentally and physically, which they believe to stay, and which we see the impact altogether. So our interaction, for the farmers is the different approach, and because what we like to do end of the day, we like to intervene and transform agricultural farming in Africa together with the young people, and to ensure that there is a food security in Africa. So therefore, we give them on the different type of training, where they can see farming as a by profession, as a by choice, rather than they think that they have no other any opportunity to only stay in the village and to follow up his father. No, I think we talk with them, we train them, and we show them how the future looks like if they stay in the village, and to do the professional farming, and also we motivate them to produce more and better, because today when you go to the farmers, they don't see the price difference between good quality maize and bad quality maize. So therefore, we show them how they increase the value of their products, where they can have the more profit from the same product. So also, we are interacting with their self-development, to better communicate, better follow up the market, and also how they can coach their fellow colleagues to implement the good agricultural practices. Of course, to enable to do that, we are really looking for open-minded people, and then who is demanding better input and better mechanization. So therefore, our partners, together with AGRA, we are helping them to get the mechanization and get the better input to have the high yield and the high quality raw material end of their harvest. So also, not only the farmer, the itself, and farm is really, really important. If you do the traditional farming, you have the really limited yield. I know so many input companies, colleagues are here on this call today. They know better than me to what is the reason of the low yield by traditional farming or substantial farming. So therefore, we are giving them the mechanized farming support. Also, we guide them to use really the high quality seed, then they can get the high yield. And also we are giving them the record keeping training, a kind of farmer business school, at least to enable them to make the simple profit and loss calculation. And also what is important we encourage them to grow the size of their farm, because if you have the only 1 hectare farm today with the 1,000 kg yield from the maize, you can stay still the $30 US. But based on our calculation and encouragement, there is the available the arable land amongst those maize growing or soybean growing area, where the farmers can go up to 5 hectares, and also they can increase the yield from 1.5 metric tons today, maybe 4 metric tons as the end of our intervention, so where they can achieve the $200 income per month. Of course, I see the cropping here and the other technology partners are here. We really pay high attention to using the mobile phone and the IT technology to get the more benefit for their farming, where they can help them to have the better weather forecast, how they can improve the yield and quality of their products, which can lead to better income and more income from the same area. Of course, I think last but not the least, conducive environment is very, very important. As a Nestle, we have really paying the high attention for creating the private-public partnership, because I think, as Jennifer mentioned on their presentation, there's all stakeholders needs to be involved and support to transformational agricultural change, transform the agriculture in Africa. So therefore, we work AGRA because we find that they are very professional, they are really business-minded, they understand the agriculture, they understand this agricultural sector. Therefore, we met and then we created the project together. But in that partnership, please note that nobody is transferring the money to the account of the individual organizations. Entire money goes to the farmers, goes to the implementation, who is really doing the job at the field. So therefore, I think this partnership is great example. Of course, at the same time, as a company, also together with AGRA or independently, we are engaging with the local agricultural ministries to share with them and then to present them what we are doing with the youth entrepreneurship program in the country, to reduce the import dependence of the countries and to maximize the local sourcing and to maximize the farmers' benefit, to achieve to reduce the import dependence on all kind of agricultural products. So, entrepreneurship program, I think in the future we are planning to have the expansion. First of all, we like to increase the allocated land per farmers, where we need to increase the support for the supply and input, and also as of now we are reviewing the strategic phase 1 and the execution of the phase 2 in the Ghana and Nigeria. It's very important, to take a step back and then to see what has been done so far, what we achieved, where we failed. I think we are doing this regular review with the AGRA, which is very, very important. Thanks to AGRA team and Nestle team, together with the suppliers, every month we have the monthly operation review meeting where we can see what we achieved, where we are failing, and immediately we have a chance to take action for the further improvement. Also, we have in the discussion with AGRA to expand this project in the coffee and cocoa sector, where we can increase alternative income generating for the women, and then the youth people, because sometimes coffee and cocoa income is not sufficient for them. So also these initiatives will support the reforestation activities, like we are going to plant the shade trees in the coffee and cocoa, where they can have, maybe this can be the fruit trees, where they can generate additional income. So we need to create this type of partnership more from the Nestle perspective, because as you may see on the media, our CEO has the commitment to have the net zero emission by 2050. So therefore, we are looking forward to implement regenerative agricultural practices. And also we are willing to support African governments to achieve SDG 1 and SDG 2 objectives, which is, no poverty and then no to hunger. And also we are looking forward to create income and employment for the youth in the rural area in Africa. So all these initiatives, I think, will make Africa more prosperous and also will give us the business advantage, companies like Nestle, where we can maximize our local sourcing. So as a final words, I strongly believe that if we engage with the youth agripreneurs to feed Africa, what we produce in Africa. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fatih. We truly appreciate your partnership and the vision that Nestle has, especially your commitment around youth women. So colleagues, with that, I would like to hand over the meeting to Vanessa Adams, who is our Vice President for Strategic Partnerships. And she will be engaging a few more of our partners just to give a reflection on how we have progressed. Over to you, Vanessa.
Thank you so much. This is really, Fatih, just a wonderful vision from Nestle, and I really appreciate the open sharing and engagement that we have had in Ghana and Nigeria, and we're looking forward to expanding as you've described. I'd like to introduce Simon Winter, who is the Executive Director of Syngenta Foundation, to turn on his video, and as well as Mark Edge, Partnerships Director for Bayer based in the US. It's very early there, so thank you for joining. And of course, Winnie Karanu, who is with Microsoft for Africa here in Nairobi. Please, Winnie, help me out here. We'll have a nice balanced panel. Thank you, wonderful. And Valentine, please, you can leave your video on. If I can just suggest as a panel discussion, first of all, to our partners who are attending, please go ahead and badger us with questions and ideas and input in the chat or the question Q and answer box. But Simon, if you can kick us off, because you've published frequently on this topic of partnerships and different models of partnerships, and you actually lead right now the Farm to Market Alliance Partnership Committee, Steering Committee as an example. If you could just share a few of your reflections on partnership engagements for last mile, reaching smallholders and for impact. And as we're leading up this summer to such critical, momentous food system summits, all of us are challenged to see the impact on the ground in Africa. So we look forward to your input, and then we'll go next to Winnie and hear about Microsoft and digital ag, and then wrap up with Mark and have hopefully time for questions. Thanks. Over to you, Simon.
Great, thanks, Vanessa. I have a couple of slides, if it's okay if I show them.
Yes.
Let me just put this up. This is about, it's literally a cover slide and then two other slides just to show you a little bit about the Farm to Market Alliance. So one of the things I think that's really important about these partnership structures is that there has to be a really clear shared vision. And I think that came through very clearly in what Fatih said, that the vision that Nestle had and AGRA had in your partnerships was, very aligned. I think that was a key hallmark feature of the Farm to Market Alliance with public and private partners. So you can see at the bottom here, you have the World Food Programme on the public sector side, along with AGRA, and then on the private sector side, Syngenta and Rabobank and Bayer and Yara. And all of them have a shared vision of how to integrate value chains to bring more smallholders into the marketplace to become commercially sustainable. And that's really at the heart of what Farm to Market Alliance is about. It's a very holistic, integrated design, and it's supported by those partners at the core. In other words, the sort of secretariat infrastructure of the alliance is actually funded by the partners. And all the CEOs of the organizations are committed to this partnership continuing. And that's another feature I think that's really important about these kinds of partnerships. They're not projects sort of buried down somewhere in a CSR department. They are owned by the leadership of these enterprises. And that enables the partnership to ride out the storms. And we've had some storms in FTMA over the years where things haven't worked. But that commitment of the leaders is really a hallmark. If we go into the core of the model, what the what the partnership is centered on is something that's quite aligned with what Jennifer was introducing earlier on in that integrated value chain kind of picture that Jennifer showed, as well as really what the VBAs are trying to do. And in a way, the farm service center model that FTMA has is kind of like a VBA, but rather more enhanced with multiple service offerings, product offerings, market integration offerings, things like mechanization, finance, and so on, all getting delivered to farmers through these farmer service centers in a very integral way. The farmer service centers may be part of a cooperative, they may be a more independent entrepreneur, but it's that really holistic offering that is really the key to the rural transformation, the value chain transformation that farm to market is trying to bring. And then clearly what we want to do is not just run a project for a few years and reach a handful of farmers, but we want to support something that can become transformational in the future. So as you can see here, the targets at the moment are relatively modest, but still, even with these modest targets, if we hit them by 2022, 2023, across the current 4 countries and the various value chains that are being supported in each of those countries, we'll be supporting about 500,000 farmers to be much more commercially successful with income increases of about 25%, and building profits for those along the value chain as well by serving more farmers or sourcing from more farmers at about an 8% margin improvement. And it's that win-win feature for all the players then who are part of the partnership as well as the beneficiaries that is another, I think, hallmark feature of the Farm to Market Alliance. Let me just mention very briefly a couple of other things. One is that this core set of partners is then able to leverage in donor funding to support the actual programmatic outreach. So at the moment we have the Norwegian government and the New Zealand government supporting it, but we need more partners as well. So there's a core infrastructure here of partners that have maintained the platform so far, but we need more partners, especially downstream. This is only going to work if it's serving growing markets, whether that's import substitution or new urban consumers demanding more nutritious foods or whatever the drivers are. We need to be serving demand sinks, and we need the partners who are the food processors, the distributors, the retailers, the logistics managers, etc., who are tackling those growing markets to become part of the platform. That already happens at a country level. We're engaging very well, I think, with local SMEs in the various programs, but we need partners on the downstream side to join the core. We also need partners on the digitalization side. The digital tools are coming, but it's still an evolving ecosystem, and that's an area that we want to strengthen through partnerships. And then finally, we need financial institutions, I think, also to join, because that access to finance for the farmer service centers as well as for the farmers remains really problematic. And we're working on that as well. But again, very open to other partners coming on board. So basic infrastructure, well established, lots of learning to be shared, lots of continuous improvement happening, more partners welcome. Thank you, Vanessa.
Fantastic. Thanks for summarizing the nuggets of learning. And maybe it wasn't clear entirely to everybody, but Farm to Market Alliance, I think, was initiated in 2017, if I recall. And so part of the model of many of these partnerships have struggled with continuity, year-on-year growth, and also leverage, right? And I'm glad that Simon, you dared share targets and numbers, because part of the questions that we all get asked regularly is, what is the impact? Where's the reach? Is it measurable? Is there value in all this time spent coordinating, or are we all just dancing around the problem? So Winnie, Microsoft has been driving us 2 meetings a week, on and on, engagement, testing, where's the content, where's it? Tell us a little bit about the AGRA Microsoft partnership as another example, and how you see the impact opportunities for digitizing the last mile.
Thank you, Vanessa. I think maybe just to start with why we partnered with AGRA. I think as we were thinking about launching our agriculture transformation strategy in Africa, I think one of the ways that we're looking at a strategic partnership would be a partner that I think very well covered by Jennifer in terms of the footprint, government relationships at all levels, and also the convening power, and also investments that they're making already in the agriculture space where we could leverage but also learn from. And I think one of the other great things that AGRA brings to the table is also the agriculture expertise. They have doctors, doctor level employees as well. So really great experts in the agriculture space. And so it has been a great learning from us, for us as well. As a technology company, we're not an expert in agriculture. We're looking for an organization that would really help us to accelerate and be able to really land quickly. And so as we were launching, I think one of the main areas we're thinking about is definitely on the government engagement work. And so AGRA really does have a great footprint and also deep relationships with government. And so they really helped us to be able to get the inroads with some of the ministries and be able to actually very quickly turn around great initiatives with the Ministry of Agriculture here in Kenya. We actually just launched our digital transformation roadmap earlier today as part of the UN Food System Dialogue, as part of the first national dialogue on the innovation level. And so it's been quite a journey, and so really thankful for the kind of support that AGRA has done over the years. I think the other area where we saw there would be opportunities definitely on agriculture and youth, and being able to really kind of bring the idea of agriculture and digital technologies together. And so really engaging young people in agriculture. And so we did launch a co-sponsored internship program that has really helped us as well in terms of driving our main program that we run with AGRA that she was mentioning. We meet multiple times a week and go for field visits together. And so we did see an opportunity to partner with AGRA on the VBA program, the Village-Based Advisors program, where we really wanted to test out our flagship product, which is called KuzaBot, or AGRA AgriBot in this case. And we have been working with them for the last almost 9 months now in being able to pilot it in Kiambu and Embu. So far, we have over 20,000 farmers registered. We are getting quite a great interactions, I think over 50,000 interactions so far. And mostly farmers very interested in agri advisory services. So if I talk about the bot, it's pretty much you think about a virtual assistant support village-based advisors to be able to get standardized content. So advisory services, weather data, pest and disease information, and also diagnostics, and also with regards to and working with a couple of partners, in this case, agri-tech startups, to really be able to start thinking about how do we provide more services onto the platform and make it a one-stop shop for farmers to be able to really access all the services that they need to be able to increase their yield, but also get more information about any new trends and stuff. And so our work has been quite so far great. We have also engaged with the county governments and really being able to also expand the work that we're doing in being able to give them visibility about the work that we're doing through dashboards. I could have shared some of the slides, but anyway, so dashboarding, and so giving them visibility on what's happening on the ground, but also really having better interventions at the farmer level to be able to ensure that they're getting the right information and also the right inputs and access to market as well. I think finally, what I would also want to mention is that we have been exploring extending the partnership in a couple of ways. I think given just the kind of convening power that AGRA has and already the existing external partnership that they have. And interestingly, some of these multinational companies are also our customers. There's been a great interest in being able to see how do we work together in terms of last mile delivery. And so really looking forward to expanding the partnership moving forward. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Winnie. Sorry, there's a little bit, but I was so pleased to see the link and the launch of the digital innovation lever in Kenya around the Food Systems Summit and Food Systems Dialogues. And we're actively facilitating and linking and trying to make food systems real in Africa, not global dialogue, but looking forwards. And I think maybe that's the best segue to introduce Marquette and what Bayer has committed to. Even pre-food systems announcement, Bayer was, I think, kind of ahead of the curve, making huge commitments. But Mark, if you can just link for those who are listening, this 100 million smallholder farmer initiative that Bayer is committing to, the commitments you've had for many years to the Farm to Market Alliance, and also this carbon neutral vision, you know, and what can we all do in agriculture towards the measuring of the seeming impossible carbon neutrality goals? Over to you.
Yeah, well, thank you, Vanessa. And I'm going to apologize ahead of time. I've got to leave in 4 minutes for another meeting. So, but it's a real pleasure to be part of this and share a little bit of this in the farm. Can you all hear me? It seems to have frozen. Uh-oh. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry. It's like it froze. So, yes, we're part of the Farm to Market Alliance, but we've been in many different things with regard to developing sustainable agriculture as a company going forward. We made a commitment a couple of years ago to empower 100 million smallholder farmers globally. That involves our crop protection, but also our seeds and traits, specifically with regard to partnerships with AGRA. Over the years, we've been working on seeds. So the village-based advisors is something we've been working on for many years, actually providing packets of seed for testing, and have been part of that, and really seeing the reach and the convening power and the footprint of AGRA to be able to help us to get to those farmers and get the knowledge out to the farmers about the benefits of the improved seed is really important. And then building on that, this last year, just based on the response to COVID, we decided that one of the things that we could do as a company to help in response to COVID was to get improved seed to farmers to help on their food security. So we worked with AGRA at the local level there on Better Farms, Better Lives approach to develop, to distribute seed free to vegetable seed and hybrid maize seed to smallholder farmers in a response to the COVID threat. So those sorts of partnerships and opportunities are things that we build on. We recognize as a company that we're just part of the ecosystem and we have an important role to play. And then to respond to your question about the carbon markets, that's where I kind of got thrown off a little bit because I wasn't thinking about commenting on that. We have committed to reducing our carbon footprint in agriculture by 30%. Most of our focus on that has been actually with the large scale farmers at this stage, but we are definitely looking on a global basis of how it is that agriculture can be a solution rather than a problem in farming. And you know, crops actually are one of the few things that actually take carbon out of the air and put it into the soil. So we're looking at how to measure that, develop carbon markets, and create that there's a source of revenue for farmers to be paid for their carbon sequestration. And it actually changes the behaviors in farmers from a standpoint of putting in cover crops, reducing tillage, all of these sorts of things to keep more carbon sequestered in the soil. So we're certainly looking at all of those aspects and recognizes the importance of partnerships to be able to make those things happen and really being able to get down to the ground level with the farmers and local partners at the level of dealing with on the ground realities for the farmers to make an impact on their lives. So with that, I'll turn it back to you, Vanessa.
Thanks. Sorry to throw you a curveball on the carbon footprint, but I know you've done so much work in this area, and it's something which a lot of people think is actually the opposite of what's happening, right? So there's a lot of belief and discussion in the ecosystem about what's the right approach, right, to the impending climate change and what mitigation measures, what measurement, what's the reality scientifically in terms of crop diversification and as you mentioned, what measurements can occur. And this is something that we all are being asked to do a better job reporting on.
Well, and one of the things I should have mentioned on that is all of the intersection of so many different things that we talk about in this, because in order to be able to do this with the carbon markets, there's a real need for the digital tools. You really need to be able to track and trace things. You need to be able to verify it. So you get into conversations about blockchain, you get into conversations about how are you going to gather this information. So as you see, the combination of the partners that have been talking here today in this format, all of those come together to really help create that vision. And I think that's where I think we have a common vision about how agriculture can really be a solution to so many of these issues that society faces. And Africa really needs to lead the way, because the greatest opportunity for change and improvement is actually in the continent of Africa. So yeah, thank you. And I'm going to apologize. I'm leading another conversation right now that I need to get to. So I'm going to drop off, but I appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks for joining us so early in the morning, Mark. And I know everybody is actually out of time. We appreciate all of your engagements. Our idea here was to launch a conversation about cross-pollination amongst partnerships, best practices, lessons learned, and how do we also leverage and avoid duplication or reinventing the wheel where that's been done time and time again. So I know that many of you have been partners, as Fatih mentioned, with so many different ecosystem players. Simon, you've led this space for many years. So we really appreciate all of your partnerships with us and your continued support and commitments. I think we can wrap up if you want to give your final remarks, Simon and Fatih and Winnie, and then we'll let Valentine close us out.
Sure. Thank you very much for the opportunity to share some thoughts today. I think I just want to come back and build on the point about not reinventing the wheel and really trying to have these kind of integrated models. You know, there's many of these village-based advisor, farmer service center type models that other organizations are all experimenting with and developing. And I think there's a space for all of that knowledge to come together and be shared in a way that hasn't, you know, happened yet. And that requires a little bit of, let's say, losing one's ego and being a little more open and willing to share the knowledge, still to subsequently then pursue competitive opportunities in the marketplace. Competition is very important for innovation and improvement, but we need to build together for system improvement. Thank you.
Fatih, any final comments or input?
I think, thank you all. I think it's a great pleasure to be here today. And I think I really endorse that such a private-public partnership is really must for the win battle for the future of the reduction of the carbon footprint and also to fight for the zero hunger and reduce the poverty in Africa while we do together with the youth entrepreneurship in the region. Thank you and looking forward.
Great. Winnie, any additional points from you?
Maybe agreeing with what Simon said, being able to really bring together our different strengths to be able to solve the problem of last mile delivery. I think it's not a one organization play, and we really need to work together to be able to get there. So really looking forward to learning more about Farm to Market Alliance and maybe seeing where we can work together. Thank you.
Great, and I think you know, the vision about youth engagement in agriculture and in staying rural, wanting to be rural and being happy in rural communities, not everybody fleeing to urban environments, is something that I think weighs heavily on every government that we work with, as well as everybody who are looking at converting employability and entrepreneurship. And I think Valentine can mention a few upcoming events that we have and ways that we think we can continue to support going forward. So we're going to wrap up now. And again, thanks to all of you. Much appreciation. Valentine, over to you.
Thank you so much, colleagues. This has been a pleasure. I mean, we truly appreciate you providing, highlights. And I say these are just highlights because there's a lot more work and there's quite deep engagement that we normally work together to deliver on these results. So we do have a couple of events that are coming up. For sure, the AGRF, the Africa Green Revolution Forum, will be happening in September. The dates will be announced soon, and we have a launch of AGRF in June. So do look out on your inboxes, on the AGRA, social media handles, including the AGRF social media handles, on the dates for that. Within the AGRF, we also have the Agribusiness Deal Room that also will be launched this month of June. So again, do look out, on our media handles for the dates and the times for that. We have a food systems dialogue on women in agriculture that is coming up on the 23rd of June. So again, we will be, announcing, the times for that. And then, finally, we have the SME dialogue on the food systems summit again coming up on the 7th of July. So please do look out. And if you're not following us, AGRA is on Twitter, is on LinkedIn, is on Facebook. AGRF also is on similar social, platforms. Please do follow, and we will keep you posted on our progress. But of course, Jennifer, myself, and Vanessa and other colleagues, we also have our own social media handles. If you also follow us, we would normally repost, whatever comes from the institutional social media handles. So again, I mean, really for me, it's been a great pleasure. This shows how, a partnerships make $1 and $1 5 and not 2. Let's continue to work together. Simon, I really like, what you say, let's put our egos aside and let's work together. But at the end of the day, our key constituency, which is the African farmer, the African consumer, need food, and the African farmer need more income. So at the end of the day, I mean, we're working for the same constituency. The more we can put 1 and 1 together to make it 5, the better for the continent. So with that, I would like to bring the meeting to a close. We will be sharing the recording of this particular session, and reach out to us. You've seen our contacts on the last slide. If you have any questions, if you have any clarifications, or if you need to build any partnerships with us, we are more than happy to do that. And we will be again reaching out to you as we build out our 2030 strategy to get your input on how the next 9 years will look like. Thank you. To have a good evening and a good morning for those who it is morning. Bye-bye.